DC's latest movie Shazam is like Joe Dirt mixed with Superman the movie. Let me explain. Welcome to the objective review of Shazam. And in an objective review, I like to break the movie down into 6 categories and assign weights to them depending on the genre to have the most honest, unbiased, objective review as possible. So let's get started with the first category of story.
Billy Batson, I choose you as champion.
And the story follows Billy Batson, an orphan foster kid who always is getting in trouble and he can never stay in a home, and he's really just having trouble finding a place to call home himself. But he is placed in a very nice home with a very nice couple and all of their diverse foster children, but he still doesn't feel home there. He sort of befriends this kid named Freddie, who he defends one day and then gets chased into a subway station and eventually gets the powers of Shazam. And the thing I really love about Billy Batson is that even though he's not a 100% great kid, like sometimes he's portrayed as in the comic books, you understand why he's this way. You understand why he runs from all these foster homes. He is continually looking for that final place to call home. And I love all the characters around him in the foster home. Freddie is a great character who's kind of his sidekick, kind of his manager, showing him the ropes on how to be a superhero and teach him everything and trying to get him just to learn what his powers and capabilities are. And each of the other foster members play smaller roles, but they still all do their roles really well. Now, the villain of the story is Dr. Savannah, and I'm happy to report that his story, I think, was done much better than I've ever seen done in the comics. I haven't read that many comics with Dr. Savannah on the New 52 Shazam run, but here I think they added a new element to him that really informed the character a lot. It really gave him a great backstory, a feeling of real betrayal and how he is just always put down upon and how he believes in magic, but how no one believes in him. And I absolutely love the moral of the story of just family is what you make it and home is where you make it. As long as you can call it home, as long as you can love the people around you, that's where you belong. I do think they missed a little bit of opportunity there with the villains that were chosen for this. They didn't really dive into really, I think, what these villains stand for and what exactly they could impact on the world. But I enjoyed the story. I give it an 8 out of 10. Next is on to emotion.
You're him. You're the hero.
This movie has absolutely so much heart in it. Like, this movie has probably the most heart I've seen in a superhero movie since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. And it definitely has the most heart in any DCEU movie to date. And with the whole notion of family and everything, and it's just a really joyful film. And there's at least 3 really emotional scenes and some really heartbreaking scenes too. You really feel for the character of Billy Batson. You really care for Freddie, and you really start to kind of care for a lot of them. So for emotion, it gets a 9 out of 10. Next is on to action.
I'm Batman. Get him back in!
If I had to describe the action in this movie, it is like if the 80s or 90s superhero movies had modern day CGI. Like, there wouldn't be any intricate fight sequences. There wouldn't be any like massive explosions everywhere. It would just be pretty simple, like people punching people, throwing little lasers at each other, electricity at each other, just nothing that inventive. And that's one of the downfalls, I think, of this film. There's just, really nothing flashy about it. I can't really remember one action sequence that I'm going to feel like, oh, I really need to go back and rewatch that. So for action, give it a 7.5 out of 10. Next is on to comedy.
Leap tall buildings in a single bound.
The comedy in this movie is almost as perfect as comedy can get in a superhero movie. Like, there is laughter all throughout the movie, but they do a great job of knowing when to put in these jokes. They don't come in opportune times and serious moments, but there are genuine good jokes. I laughed out loud at least 3 times, so that is a great ratio there. I think at least 80% of the jokes hit. Freddie, of course, was a standout in this. He was hilarious. He played the role of the quirky handicapped sidekick kid really well. The little girl was also hilarious. The whole dynamic of that family, I think, was done really well to add a really comedic aspect to it. And of course, Zachary Levi as Shazam was hilarious. Just how do you deal with being in a suit? How do you deal with all these issues? Just trying to trick people into helping him out, trying to trick people into buying beer. All that is done really well. So comedy gets an 8.5 out of 10. Next is on to acting.
His name is Captain Sparklefingers.
No, it's not. That's not my name.
I feel like the acting in this movie is fairly serviceable, but I do think the main character who played Billy Batson had some of the best scenes. I mean, he had some really gripping, emotional scenes that he handled really well. And Jack Dylan Grazer also had a lot of good scenes of, there was kind of some jealousy there because Billy got powers and he can still be funny, but he can still be really serious at times. And he did a great job of balancing that out. Mark Strong was fine. He kind of played this role fairly easily. He wasn't asked to do that much, but he did a good job. So he's a typical villain. I feel like I enjoyed most of the backstory that really informed his character more, and so he didn't really have to do that much acting to really fulfill the purposes of this role. So for acting, we had an 8 out of 10. Next is on to directing. I think the best thing the director did in this movie was really establish a tone and establish the balance of that tone. You have to weigh all that heart and emotion in there, but also weigh that comedy, and he does a great job balancing that out. I mean, this movie was absolutely fun all throughout, but you have peppered in there a lot of great emotional scenes. I feel like that really helped out the pace of the movie. I never once felt like the movie was dragging. I will say besides that, I don't feel like there was really anything special. I feel like the cinematography was that great. I feel like there was that many just great shots that were just an awe to look at. Except for the one time in the trailer that you can see where he says, he jumps off the roof and says Shazam. That's a beautiful shot. Oh, now that I remember, I love seeing the Shazam emblem just glow in like fog. That is some great imagery there. But I think cinematography wise, there just wasn't that much greatness there. He still did a fine job, so I'm gonna give directing a 7.5 out of 10. That brings our weighted average score to an 8.1 out of 10. I highly enjoyed this movie. I implore you to go see it. It is definitely a very family-friendly movie for all ages. So let me know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And sincerely, thank you for watching. I'm out.